Right, there's only one place to start, though, isn't there, this morning? That explosive interview from Liverpool's Mohamed Salah, which has left his future in serious doubt. We'll be live to Liverpool shortly as they get ready for tomorrow's Champions League match against Inter Milan. But let's start by reminding ourselves what exactly Salah said after the Leeds game. Incredible stuff, really, isn't it? Well, many of Salah's international teammates have come out supporting him, including his manager as well at Egypt, Hossam Hassan. He posted this picture of the two of them on Instagram with the caption, "Always a symbol of determination and strength." Right, well, that's given us something to get into today, hasn't it?
Wow.
Incredible stuff. We have seen him do this kind of thing before, but maybe not on this level when he goes out and speaks in the mixed zone, where he doesn't have to go out and speak, but he chooses to.
Right.
Is there any way back for Salah after this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously there's definitely a way back. I mean, he's got to get back in the team. I mean, first and foremost, that's got to be his aim. I know he's got AFCON coming up, so, you know, he's going to miss games anyway. But, you know, yeah, I mean, look, there's a way back. I think I'm really disappointed in him, you know, because I think he is on a pedestal of one of the greatest Premier League players ever, ultra professional. You know, he has carried that team for a long time. But, you know, to come out and say what he said, it was just remarkable. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, mate, calm down. You've been dropped for a few games. Like, you haven't performed this season. You know, was there any need to come out and completely blow the whole club into, you know, a massive scrutiny? Everyone's talking about it. It's been everywhere. And I just think, was there any need for him to do that? And
what's he trying to achieve?
Well, I think he's trying to let everyone know that he's not happy. I think what he's trying to achieve is the fact that he says he's been made promises. Well, no one gets promised as a football player that you're going to start every game. Like, that's not a promise that gets made. That's absolute rubbish. You know, so at the end of the day, if you don't perform, you're out the team. I think what he's trying to get at is he's trying to let everyone know that he's not happy with the manager. He's not happy with the way it's going. You know, and he's not happy that probably one of the greatest players ever at Liverpool is being left out. But you know, and
is that a way to get back in the team, though? To publicly challenge your manager like that?
No, of course it doesn't. I mean, it always that never works. I mean, that's never the way to go. But the players now are so powerful, you know, and you know, it used to be back in the day, you know, manager would have his say, manager would do his thing, and you had to accept it, you had to deal with it. Now, players have a voice. Players are more powerful than the manager. And I think Salah probably is a very powerful person at Liverpool. And if he comes out and says something, everyone takes up and listens to what he's got to say. But I think it's a scandalous interview. I think he's bang out of order to saying what he said. You know, the club is struggling at the moment. They need their top players and their leaders to be, you know, united together in turning this club back around and getting them back into winning ways. There is no... He talks about having credit in the bank. There's no credit in the bank when you play football. Like, that's the industry. You perform, that's what we're paying you for. He's on 400, 500 grand a week, whatever he's on. You are paid to perform for Liverpool. He hasn't performed this season. Question marks over why he's not performed, whether it's the tactics, the way they play, whether it's because of Trent, they miss him. Regardless, you haven't performed. The manager's decided to leave you out. If he wants to leave you out, that's up to him. Deal with it and get yourself back in the team.
But this is quite interesting. Tom, you can read the graphic there. It said, whatever happens in the four walls of the club should stay in there. I demand a public apology from Salah today, or the poster on my wall will be ripped down and will be erased from my memory. Should he publicly apologise?
He ain't gonna. I don't think he'll apologise. No, I don't think he will apologise. I think he said what he thinks. It's come out. Whether he reflects on that interview over the next few days and thinks maybe, you know, he's frustrated after the game, you know, he's not happy being on the bench, and, you know, in hindsight, when you're emotional and you're angry, it's probably not the best time to do an interview. That's when you're meant to go home, relax, forget about it, and then go and have a chat with the manager on Monday, go in there, knock on his door and say, I'm not happy. But to come out and tell the whole world, you know, that he's not happy with how he's being treated, and you know, and I sit there and I think, look, there's two ways to look at it. Salah, I get it, he's a superstar and he's not happy. It's poor from him, but then Arne Slot's got to look at it and how do I deal with this situation? And it just almost creates a massive scrutiny for the football club, and Now we'll sit here and talk about it, and we know that there's problems there. And that is the last thing that Liverpool need right now. They need to be together, because everyone can see on the outside from the performances and the results, what's going on at Liverpool, it's not going well. He's just confirmed to everyone that there is problems at that football club.
The phrase he used was, I've been thrown under the bus, right? But do you have a slight sympathy with him when he says, I've been made a scapegoat? Because there are other big players who are not playing well in this Liverpool side who haven't been dropped, to the likes of Konate. Yeah, I mean, Van Dijk's made some mistakes.
Yeah, Konate has been terrible this season, but they haven't really got anyone to replace him. And I think sometimes, look, Mo Salah is his goals and the way he performs. If he's scoring goals and he's doing things, we've always questioned if he stops scoring goals and he stops getting assists, what's he bringing to the team? Does he track back? Does he work hard? Does he fight? Does he tackle? And there's question marks over whether he's done that. Konate, yeah, of course, he's not performed well. I don't know if they've got a replacement for him. Salah, he looked at Arne Slot and thought, maybe I need to take him out the firing line. I don't think Arne Slot expected him to come out and really hammer him. I don't think Arne Slot expected this. I think he thought, I'm going to take him out the firing line. He's a professional. He'll deal with it like professionals do, and he'll fight his way back into the team. But after 3 games of being sat out, he's come out and done this explosive interview saying he'd been thrown under the bus. He ain't been thrown under the bus. The manager's decided not to pick you. That's his right. And whether that's right or wrong, ends up with his job. And Arne Slot has to make that decision. But to say you've been thrown under the bus is absolutely disgusting. It's bang out of order from Mo Salah. And I think in reflection, I think they'll look back and think, I got that wrong.
We're going to talk more about his future and potentially whether he could even leave Liverpool in January or in the summer for the next couple of parts. But let's first of all cross to Liverpool, because they're training later this morning ahead of their Champions League game against Inter Milan tomorrow in Milan. Big game that. At the training ground for us right now is Alan Irwin. Salah is there, isn't he, Alan?
Yeah, I think Liverpool fans around the world have been waiting with bated breath for the next instalment of the Mo Salah saga, shall we call it. Well, the next chapter is unfolding this morning, and Mo Salah is here at Liverpool's training ground. He arrived around about 9:30 this morning, drove in and will take his place amongst the other players who are set to train a little bit later on. His manager, Arne Slot, arrived earlier, around about 8:30 this morning here at Liverpool's training complex. And we now know that Mo Salah was here yesterday as well, following that 3-3 draw with Leeds on Saturday night at Elland Road. Mo Salah was required at the training ground yesterday and did have that warm down session here. So whether he's had that one-to-one meeting that maybe some feel is required with manager Arne Slot remains to be seen, but you would imagine that there are going to be words certainly exchanged this morning, or a meeting between the two before the team head out to Italy this afternoon. And as I say, they do have the training session that takes place here at 11:45 this morning, which we are entitled to film around about 15 minutes of it. So it will be interesting to see whether Mo Salah comes out with Arne Slot. Will they show a united front? Will they have settled their differences? Well, all will be unveiled in around about an hour and a half's time.
Well, the fallout to those comments continue. So this is Wayne Rooney speaking to the BBC, saying Arne Slot has to show his authority and pull him in and say, you are not travelling with the team. What you said is not acceptable. Take yourself off to AFCON and let everything calm down. If I was him, there would be no way he would be in the team. He is absolutely destroying his legacy at Liverpool. If I was one of his teammates, I wouldn't be happy at all with what he said, because this is where Liverpool need him most. If anything, he's thrown Liverpool under the bus with his words. I'm sure over the next couple of years, he will regret saying what he has. And former Liverpool striker Michael Owen tweeted, "Oh, Mo Salah, I can imagine how you feel. You've carried this team for a long time and want everything there is to win. But this is a team game and you simply can't publicly say what you've said. You're going to AFCON in a week. Surely You bite your lip, enjoy representing your country and see how the land lies when you get back. Well, Owen referenced Salah going to the Africa Cup of Nations with Egypt next week. Many of his international teammates have come out supporting Salah, as has manager Hossam Hassan. He posted this picture of the pair on Instagram with the caption, "Always a symbol of determination and strength." Well, goodness me, Mark McAdam with us now. I mean, a lot to unpack here with Mo Salah. Look, it was an incredible interview. I mean, how did you perceive his comments?
It's one of those moments where you see the headlines coming out. We got an advance email on Saturday night and you had to read it twice because it was explosive and it was quite astonishing in many respects. I think the first thing to say is I always have to respect the player when he comes out publicly and says how he feels and how he thinks. I've worked in football for over 25 years now, and very, very rarely do you get an interview like this. This is a stand to attention moment. And you have to respect Mo Salah, whether Liverpool like it or not. The fact that he's been honest, he's said how he's felt, and he's gone out publicly with it. You have to respect that, because so many players choose to hide their feelings and not be honest. And in the media, that's the one thing we're desperate for. We want the headlines. We want the good grabs. We want the nice interviews. We want the powerful statements, because that's what we're here to try and deliver for the fans. So I respect Mo Salah for doing that.
Yeah.
Then you just have to take a step back and look at what he's done. And there's three things, I guess, really, potentially in what he's trying to do. First of all, is he saying Arne Slot is not good enough? The coaching's not good enough. The standards are not good enough. This is a Liverpool Football Club side that are not achieving what they should be achieving, and does the blame lie at the door of the head coach? Point number one. Could he be also saying, actually, this recent form, this slump in form, this is not my fault. I've been made the scapegoat, as he said. He's the one that's been dropped out of the starting 11. He's the one that's been on the bench for 3 consecutive Premier League matches. But hang on, this isn't about Mo Salah, this is about Liverpool Football Club. And therefore, by me coming out and speaking publicly, I'm addressing that actually I'm not the problem here, and I don't like the fact that the narrative within the media is that Mo Salah's the one that's being dropped, and maybe Mo Salah's the reason why we're not performing as well as we would like to be. And the third thing, I think, quite simple, this is a come and get me plea. You know, January the 1st is not far away, just a matter of weeks now before the window is open. And now, if you didn't know a few days ago, you certainly know now that Mo Salah is potentially available. He still obviously has 18 months on his Liverpool contract, signed a new 2-year deal in the summer. And of course, he's on astronomical wages, which limits the very few clubs that potentially could afford to buy him. Wow. But when you look at all of that, and that ultimately Mo Salah can only answer what his motivation was for saying what he said so publicly, I think you have to look at those three things, and it will certainly be wrestling control of the narrative, question marks over his relationship with the head coach, maybe trying to engineer a move in January. I put something on my social media to try and just gauge the feeling amongst fans, amongst Liverpool fans. Really interesting to see what both Wayne Rooney and Michael Owen have said. The one thing I took away from my social media post was that Mo Salah is gold-plated at Liverpool. He's untouchable. The fans absolutely back him 100%, and no matter what he says in the media, they still feel he is the main man and he has the right to say and do what he wants. So Liverpool fans very firmly backing him in this situation. Fascinating to see how this plays out, because one thing's for sure, Hayley, this saga won't end anytime soon.
Yeah, and neither will this chat, because look, Mark, did Salah actually have a point? Because, I mean, he's earned the right to be playing, or can Arne Slot actually be justified for dropping him? What do we think?
It's fascinating, because how many times has Mo Salah come up with the goods in Premier League matches, Champions League games, and actually done something? Even if he's had a quiet game or a poor game from a collective or a team perspective, how many times does he possess that special sauce that enables Liverpool to go and get 3 points? Right? So his track record is scoring goals in crucial moments. If he has a quiet game, he can still come up with the magic. I found this really interesting as well. So a lot of talk about his performances individually, a lot of talk about things. Look at this. Distance covered last season in the Premier League, 9.3 kilometres on average per game. Okay. This season, Mo Salah is running more on average than he did last season. Up slightly to 9.7 kilometres. You're surprised at that?
I've not seen this yet, and I am surprised.
Exactly. Yeah. So most people would say, well, has there been a drop-off from Mo Salah? Is he not working as hard for the team? You can see the sprints ever so slightly down.
Not much.
On last season. but 0.3.
Yeah.
But what you're seeing, the distance covered, he's covering more distance than he did last season. So you'd look at that and say, well, actually, he's maybe overperforming what you'd expect him to. There's been no drop-off with regards to the distance covered from Mo Salah. So that's one of the things that I find quite interesting. Then you flip that into the sort of goals and assists where he'll be judged. As you can see, this season, absolutely phenomenal. 47 goal involvements last year as they went to win the Premier League title. 54.7% goal contribution. So you can see the importance to him, how key he is, how important he was last season. This season, there is obviously a drop-off. We know he's not scored as many goals and got as many assists last season. Just the 4 goals in the Premier League, a couple of assists. The goal contribution rate down at 25%. So, again, the output, not quite there for Mo Salah, but certainly with regards to effort, energy, sprints, distance covered, he's doing the same or better than he was last season.
Look, how do we feel the club are going to respond to this? Do you think we'll find out a little bit more about his future as well? We'll find out a bit more about that in a minute.
That's coming up.
Yeah, I just want to know about his future then. And do we think Liverpool will release a statement? How do you think the club are going to react? I
think the club will be really unhappy at this situation. What Mo Salah's done is almost sort of chuck a...
Alan, just quickly on yesterday, when he had to go to training, was the other players there as well? Was it the whole squad after the Leeds game?
Yeah, we're not exactly sure about that, Jamie, because I think, as you will probably know, those that haven't been involved in actually playing any part in the game are generally required for a session the following day. I know some work is done immediately after the game, but there will have been a session that took place here yesterday. It may well have been that those that were involved were given the day off, but certainly they'll all be here today.
Yeah.
And you've already made some very interesting points, Jamie, and it'll be interesting to see what has happened this morning before they take to the training pitch at 11:45.
Alan, how big a test is this for Arne Slot to have to deal with this big and unwanted issue, really, that's come out of the blue?
Yeah, there's been an awful lot of focus on Liverpool this season as champions, as you would expect, and their defence of the title is going horribly wrong, isn't it? You know, losing that many matches already this season, 6 in total. It's just not good enough, really. And I think Liverpool fans now know that the title is already beyond reach. And even Champions League football is now probably the real sole aim. But Arne Slot could do without this, couldn't he? Because it does appear as though his authority is being undermined by the comments that Mo Salah made. And they were explosive comments from one of Liverpool's greatest ever players. You have to say that. He has delivered, but like Jamie said earlier, he is just one of a squad that's been underperforming throughout the course of this season, and Arne Slot as manager is perfectly entitled to leave a player out and have them on the substitutes bench as any manager is entitled to do so, but to undermine his authority as Mo Salah has, and to say that the relationship was broken down completely. And sources close to Mo Salah believe that Salah does not want to work with Arne Slot at all and doesn't see a future at Liverpool while Arne Slot is manager. So there are big problems here in that regard, and big problems that Arne Slot could do without, given Liverpool's current situation on the field.
Yeah, Alan, I've got to ask as well. It's going to be so interesting. I can't wait to see Sky do the training session, because they've got a massive Champions League game tomorrow. And if it wasn't for this explosive interview that you've seen from Salah, I probably would have been a no-brainer to start him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, these 3 games that Salah has been left out of, OK, Liverpool haven't lost any of them, but they've only won 1 and drawn 2. And Salah feels that Liverpool aren't performing any better with him out of the side. And now they go to Inter tomorrow, who are flying high in Serie A. They're top of the league. They've won 4 of their 5 Champions League fixtures so far this season. This is a tough fixture for Liverpool, given their 4-1 defeat in their last Champions League game at home against PSV. Liverpool have got to deliver the goods, and let's face it, they've got to do without Mo Salah anyway for the period of the African Cup of Nations. Now, Arne Slot might have just been preparing for that by leaving Mo Salah out of the side and saying, well, we've got to manage without you during that period, so let me have a look at a few options, see whether the team can perform without you. But Salah sees it very differently indeed. And now it does look as though, having arrived this morning, that he's going to play a part. There was some feeling that he would be disciplined and he wouldn't travel to Milan. Liverpool leave for Milan later this afternoon. But we've seen Salah arriving. It does appear that he's going to be part of the squad and will be over in Milan and will play a part for Liverpool before they play that final Premier League fixture that Salah can play in before he goes to the African Cup of Nations in Morocco, when Liverpool play Brighton at the weekend. He's already said he wants to wave goodbye to the fans before the African Cup of Nations, he added.
Alan, thank you very much. I reckon you're going to have some decent viewing figures for your camera when you're filming that live training session. Looking forward to it. Thanks very much. Right, over the weekend, we asked fans if Salah should leave Liverpool in January. We're going to get into that as well in the next part. 74% of people said yes, by the way. I'm not sure they were all Liverpool fans. Today, we want to know if you think he was right to speak out. You've been getting involved on X by going to @Sky Sports News. At the moment, it's actually quite tight. I mean, 41% of you think Salah was right to speak out. 59% think it was the wrong idea.